Morning. Another beautiful day here in the Philippines. You know, I did a video yesterday regarding Mark Thornton and his recent passing on Thursday from what appears to be a massive heart condition. And as sad as it may well be for his friends and especially his family, one cannot help but think about the impact it will have upon his new wife and recently born son, Ronan, can't remember the name anyway, but you'll no doubt remember. But if you like him or you hate him, it really makes no difference. When somebody passes, they often say it doesn't do good to speak ill of the dead. And I believe that, death is just another part of life, not just here in the Philippines, but everywhere in the world. And if we go to many funerals that many of us have done, it's more a celebration of that person's life, not the condemnation of what he did or didn't do for his family and his community. It's more about the achievements of a man or a woman. And I think we all need to remember that when, especially here in the dog-eat-dog attitudes of so many of the YouTube channels here. I mean, Geo is a good example. Again, somebody I don't particularly enjoy watching. I've watched many of his videos and found them rather condescending. But to wish him harm or ill feeling because apparently his wife has left him or he's decided to leave, whatever the case may be, that's between them. Now, of course, when you have a YouTube channel, you cannot help but weave into your conversation in regards to your own situation, how it affects you here in the Philippines, because that surely is the purpose of having a video channel that highlights some of the issues that may well affect many and definitely do. Nobody knows what's around any corner. No one knows how long a relationship will last. No one knows how long our lives will last. I mean, I'm 76. I've had a pretty good innings by most people's standards. Certainly by the number of quite young Americans who passed away recently. And there's mention of Andy Omar. There's mention of all kinds of people who sadly passed away. There was a guy in Mindanao recently. The father was in a respite position for many, many months, and he never gave up till the end. But he left a very loving family behind, and I believe that they at least have been able to pick up the pieces. And that's the message that I have for many of you. It's no good sitting there discussing things that nobody wants to talk about. No one wants to talk about death. No one wants to talk about leaving one's siblings or my family behind with nothing. Because so many of you come here with virtually nothing anyway. There's a criticism that those that choose to come here come we're the losers, we're the dregs of society. Well, I don't believe that that's the case. I certainly don't feel I'm a dreg of society. I came with the full knowledge that at least if things didn't work out, I would just get back on a plane and go back. Australia or New Zealand, probably New Zealand. And unless you have that mindset, how do you plan your lives ahead in the future in a foreign country if you can't have an exit plan. I don't call it a B plan or a C plan. It's an exit plan of a relationship, the exit plan of not being able to remain here. Whatever the reason is, there is an important message that should get through to people. It's not just coming here, it's having a backup arrangement. Like, it's taken 5 years. It didn't need to, but I chose to, no interest, 725 pesos a month for a funeral plan. It's all now paid. Now that funeral plan can be transferred to a family member. It doesn't even have to be a family member. It can be transferred. And it provides everything bar the plot of land that you're going to be buried in. And it's just a basic funeral. And it covers everything. In other words, it doesn't leave the person that is also shattered at your passing with an ability to at least bury you without digging into their pockets. I mean, stop and think. Okay, you've been married for so long, you've done this, and I know there's going to be people, well, I've set her up, well, I've done this, I've given her that, and I've done this. We're not talking about you guys. We're talking about Mr. Average guy. The ones that come here and basically just live off the earnings that they get from their Social Security. And maybe they brought with them a little bit of money that helped them build a home or establish at least some form of normality in the Philippines. It's those people that I'm aiming at. It's the ones that don't go to bars all day and pay the bar fine and brag about how many notches they have on their gun holster. Just, guys, get real. Death is part of life. There's no guarantee that coming to the Philippines, you're not going to die here. Many of you come here with such tremendous, astonishing health issues, and yet you place yourself in an environment where, number one, you won't have the money to pay for it. You really won't. And again, I'm talking about the ones that aren't the braggers. They're the ones that quietly, I suppose, feel confident that they've got their $6,000 or $7,000 American per month, and they don't really need to worry. To have 350,000 a month coming in terms of pesos, is an astonishing amount of money to have in retirement. Now, it's not the normal. It's not the normal because the people who've got that kind of money wouldn't generally hop on a plane and travel to the other side of the world to re-establish a lifestyle outside of their own country. Why would you do that? You're set for life. With that kind of money, even in America, you can downsize. You can live a comfortable life on that kind of money. And yes, things are expensive. Apartments are crazy prices, but you only have to look. If you want an alternative lifestyle, there's plenty of places where you can buy blocks of land, 20, 30 acres, and build a little cabin and live almost a hermit life, but a life devoid of all of those trim, fancy stuff. You have a 4-wheel drive maybe to get up onto the mountain where it is, and you can live a sort of a hillbilly life. What's wrong with that? Nothing. You'd be close to a hospital, I'm sure, within minutes, certainly. And the point is that it's the cost of living that people come here for. The amount of money that Americans pay in taxes is astronomical. The taxes that they pay, and you have to ask yourself the reason for that. That's why they have such large amounts of money at their disposal in their so-called retirement funds. because it's going to be eaten up with tax sooner or later at every stage of the game. The same applies in Australia. You know, the taxes, it might be a relatively low amount, around 30% of your income goes in taxes, but it's not those incomes. It's the cost of council tax. It's the cost of water supply, electric, internet. All of these things add up. And if you want a simple life, a lot of those things have to be downsized. You have to live off one light bulb in your house. You have to live off maybe having an aircon operating certain numbers of hours. And the same applies here. You know, some of you guys set up half a dozen aircons in your fancy homes, and they're pouring out the cold air into your home. And when you go outside, you go, oh, the heat outside knocks you over. But that's a false impression of life. Nobody lives in that. That's why the locals, when it's that hot, they go to shopping malls, places where there is aircon and they're not paying for it, just to escape the horrendous heat that sometimes applies here. But again, what I'm trying to get you through, you know, it's not just the pretty girls, it's not the beaches, it's not the fact that you can go to a market and buy lovely fresh food. Not all markets are like that, depending on which region you live in. You know, if you live in a region where they don't grow much, then your market's going to be costly, and it's going to be limited in what it can sell, because it's not going to be aimed at foreigners. They're not going to be necessarily selling potatoes for a start off. It'll probably be sweet potato. You know, it'll be rice dishes, it'll be fish, it'll be meat, pork generally, or chicken. And the vegetables will be what I call weeds, stuff that grows abundantly in the field, which they harvest, like their natural spinach that you go. You often see families with bunches of spinach stripping back the leaves and preparing it for a meal, because it's cheap, it's free. People live on the smell of an oily rag here. So many of them do. And you're fortunate enough, even with a small Social Security payment of maybe $1,500 US a month, can live a relatively comfortable lifestyle. It's not going to the movies every night. It's not going out to rock concerts. It's not going out having a different prostitute every night. You know, it's normal, everyday life. Sitting at home, looking at your partner, talking with your partner, smiling at your partner, hugging her now and again, giving her a kiss. Normal, everyday things. Laughing with the children, with the grandchildren, with relatives. Having a drink with locals. All of these things are the reality of life, just like Mark has experienced his reality. And for all of those guys, and you know who I'm talking about, whose relationships have sadly broken up, my heart goes out to you guys. I know what it's like. It's a big readjustment. It doesn't have to end up in tears. It doesn't have to end up where you have to leave the home. You know, you can be civil and live in a home together. You can be reorganizing your life, and you don't have to feel that you're under some ominous pressure to leave. It doesn't have to happen. It's how you deal with life itself. And I've had my rant for this morning, so I just hope you've enjoyed it. And we'll go back over to Grumpy Brit in the Philippines to do another one. So if you want to follow me over there, you can do so. But my final message, and you're going to get it in the next few days, is all of you have a wonderful Christmas. Don't be lonely. Find something that preoccupies you. I'll try and do a couple of lives so that those out there that are maybe feeling a little lonely and not able to participate in the festivities that's quite the same way as others do, you've got somebody who's listening to you, understands where you're sitting, and we hope that the festive season is quickly over so we can get back to some kind of normality. Anyway, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave us a nice cheerful comment. Bye now.